This is KGW News at 11.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Falkers, and we begin with that horrible situation in Vancouver. Deputies say a man shot both his wife and baby, then himself. It happened in the Salmon Creek area. Our Catherine Cook has the latest.
Neighbors say what happened is an unexpected tragedy. They remember seeing both mother and baby over the summer. Now they're praying both will be okay.
It's scary.
Around 3:30 Wednesday, neighbors saw flashing lights as deputies rushed to this house on Northwest 4th Place near 152nd in Salmon Creek.
It's tough. It's tough to think about.
Clark County Sheriff's deputies say a woman here had just called 911. She said her husband had shot both her and their baby before shooting himself. Deputies found the suspect dead, but mother and child were still alive. Paramedics rushed both to the hospital in critical condition.
I would not expect this to happen here at all or anywhere. I mean, it's sad.
Rowdy Rosikoff and his girlfriend Emily live around the corner. They say they knew the family in passing.
Everybody's really friendly over the summertime. All the moms were outside with their young children and playing. And I remember her coming out with her newborn.
What led up to the shooting is unclear. And at this point, deputies haven't released the names of those involved.
Seeing the mom outside with the kid, I mean, it's
all left neighbors at a loss for words.
mind-boggling. Why would that happen? I don't know.
In Vancouver, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And if you or someone you know needs help, please reach out. You can reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by calling or texting that number, 988. That's the new simplified number to talk with counselors any time of day. We have an update tonight on a standoff that shut down a Gresham neighborhood for hours this evening. A man wanted by the U.S. Marshals eventually turned himself in after first firing shots. It happened near Northeast 36th Court and Hogan Drive. Alma McCarty joins us now with more about that suspect and what the people renting a room to him had to say about the incident. Alma.
Well, Brittany, officials explained 47-year-old Thomas Gutz was wanted on warrants related to weapons charges by U.S. Marshals. We're still working to find out what those specific charges are. But when the task force arrived, officers say the suspect barricaded himself inside a shed in the backyard, then started shooting. A residential road in Gresham closed for hours Wednesday afternoon as crisis negotiators attempted to contact a man who'd locked himself inside a shed on Northeast 36th Court.
He barricaded himself in, and then they heard multiple shots fired within the shed.
The U.S. Marshals Task Force had tried to serve a warrant to Thomas Gutz, finding him in the backyard of a home here. When he didn't come out, they called more resources in. Roughly 50 Gresham police officers and Multnomah County Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene.
And in the back is a roommate we let move into our ADU, and he's just got a couple warrants that he never took care of.
The people renting him the space, who asked not to be identified by name, said police told them this began after the suspect had an argument with his girlfriend.
Basically, it boiled over, and she told them that they live with us, so they came to collect on the warrant. But because of his record, they really pulled out all the stops. I mean, this is way too much. He's not a bad guy.
While U.S. Marshals were trying to arrest Gutz Wednesday on a weapons-related warrant, court records show he also served time for being a felon in possession of a firearm and for various drug charges dating back to 2019.
We didn't know he had a warrant, so we didn't know he was in trouble. We didn't even know nothing about him. He's just a nice, quiet guy. Drives a nice new Mercedes and just needed a room for rent while he was going through a breakup with his girlfriend.
Around 6 p.m., Gresham police say the situation ended without incident.
After an extended period of time, about an hour though, which is not too lengthy, thankfully, negotiators were able to talk with him, built a really good rapport with him, and through that were able to talk him out. He walked out on his own accord and walked to the officers who were waiting. They took him into custody, and thankfully everything ended peacefully.
Investigators say no one was hurt, including the officers on scene as well as the suspect. In Gresham, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Now to an update on the status of Measure 114, Oregon's new gun control law. Earlier tonight, the Oregon Supreme Court decided not to intervene in a ruling to temporarily block it. That means the law will not go into effect tomorrow as it was supposed to. A state judge in Harney County issued a temporary restraining order on it before he can hear more arguments on its constitutionality. The Attorney General's office asked the Supreme Court to intervene, but it denied that request. Another hearing on the measure in state court is set for next Tuesday. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, one person has died following a crash in northeast Portland. It happened on Columbia Boulevard just west of 33rd Drive in the Sunderland neighborhood. The crash involved 3 vehicles, including a semi. One person was found dead at the scene. A second was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Columbia was blocked off for several hours tonight between 21st and 42nd Avenue. This was the scene of a pileup in Washington this morning. 30 cars crashed on I-90 near Ellensburg. The crash involved 12 semi-trucks and 18 cars. As you can imagine, it caused a lengthy closure. The road has since reopened. Officials so far say there are only minor injuries from the crash, and we're told freezing fog was a main cause. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has issued a new executive order over rising RSV, COVID, and flu cases. The order will help with hospital staffing, allowing them to draw from a pool of medical volunteers and doctors. It expands to cover entire hospitals instead of just pediatric units, which were included in a previous order. Additionally, to address workforce shortages, the Oregon Health Authority is trying to get up to $25 million in extra nurse staffing contracts. Portland City Councilors today unanimously approved the hiring of 6 new firefighters to fully reopen a southeast Portland fire station. The money to hire them will come from a $2 million federal grant. To accept the grant, the City Council had to promise to at least keep the current level of staffing for the fire department over the next 3 years and not make any cuts. This comes as the department faces a staffing crisis due to past budget cuts and retirements. Also from City Hall today, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is directing city employees to work in person at least half of the time. It's under what the mayor's office calls the, quote, future of work model. That's set to start next April. The mayor's office says it's necessary as Portland transitions to a new form of government, the one mandated by the voter-approved charter reform measure. Currently, about 40% of city staff are only in the office 1 day a week. Well, if you drive over the Abernathy Bridge along I-205 in Clackamas County, chances are that you've noticed all the construction equipment. They're working to make the bridge earthquake ready. Crews are using a 200,000-pound oscillator, affectionately known as Oscar the Oscillator, to drill into the bedrock and secure the new bridge supports. Once that's done, the bridge will then have 3 lanes in each direction, plus an auxiliary lane for drivers entering and exiting I-205.
When you drive across this site, you can see it's a very active construction site. So certainly as a civil engineer, I may be skewed in thinking it's a pretty impressive display of construction, but I'll leave it to the regular traveler to let us know what they think as they're coming across the project.
You know, it's good to have a civil engineer's perspective on this. ODOT officials tell us the oscillator will be wrapped up with its portion of the project by the end of 2024. The entire project should be done by the end of 2025. Still ahead, the feds are investigating attacks to power stations in parts of the country. Now, PGE says at least one of those happened